The troubadours of life, in full texturization, allows for soulful consciousness to soulfully progress onto much more deeper magnificence as its own, and most certainly as its highest degree of self-awareness is out there. And when one's soul fully comes to recognize this light allowance is then fully correlating to allnesses, a new light step of self-awarenesses onto its mostesses of its own true soulful texturings in full effectualization. This soulful well means that as we admit to this and align our hearts to its highest perspectives and allow for all parts of soulful consciousness to have a true existential expression of highest degree of self-wellnesses, we are then allowing ourselves to soulfully flee onward and gracefully take our wings of light and allow for them to propulse its own way towards its allnesses in its most forgiving nature. And as this natural light circumscript aligns us onward to something far greater, we are then to a certain degree allowing ourselves to be of perceivable effect throughout all, and most certainly allowing our own uniqueness to persevere no matter what happens out there. So as this uniqueness is now in full perceivable effectualization throughout many townships of this light texturing, we are then allowing ourselves to fully perceive onward to something far greater in its own true soulful magnificence as its own and as it is. And as we also seek this and reach to its degree of self-perfection, we are then allowing for allnesses to teach us something else and realign ourselves onto due coursings of highest degrees of self-perceivabilities, allowing for all to grow simultaneously towards and onwards to something far greater as its own and most certainly as it is. So this light allowance is now a full perceivability throughout all. This onion peeling of ourselves has persevered no matter what, and as this no matter what has soon disappeared from its realms of self-existentiality, we are now these one souls of highest consciousness in full behaviorship among it all as its own and as it is. So as we are all fully gracefully allowing ourselves to grow simultaneously onward to something far greater, it is good to fully recognize that as we are as each one's own, we have these points of reconnaissance that allows for all to be of this side effect to most. And as we each take this first glance of self-perceivability and allow ourselves to fully recognize this, it's also good to feel this from within. It allows ourselves to contribute to it all, and at the same time allow for all to contribute themselves forward onto this most soulful magnificence that we are truly all about. So now it is time to take its place. It's time to allow for all to fully reconfigure themselves and bring to this whole plate, this whole golden plate of light, how truly magnificent we are as one whole soulful consciousness. So why not take the stance as of by now and fully align yourselves and take your seat of light and allow yourselves to survoltage your own behaviorship onto something far greater as its own and as it is of course. So this is now the time to purposefully realign one's own soulful consciousness onward to something far greater throughout one's own true soulful consciousness in full appealing light circumstance as its own and as it is. So we may stand all together and bring light towards all as we, as one, as its own soulful magnificence as it is. So humanity, let us now take our stance and truly hold this dignified notional structure that so well belongs to us all, and take its space and allow for it all to survoltage its own light circumscripts and bring it all together, so as we all belong as one, we are then longing and being as its own solidarity of light texturing throughout all soulful consciousness of its own soulful magnificence as its own and as it is, of course. P.S. We are love, ultimately, forever, and for more, of course, as to by own as it is.